Raising children isn't easy, but raising grandchildren comes with its own set of challenges. According to the latest data available from the U.S. Census, there are approximately 2.5 million grandparents raising grandchildren in the United States. About 84,000 of those grandparents live here in New York City. There's a unique residence in the South Bronx that's the only one of its kind in the U.S. It's an apartment building designed for grandparents raising their grandchildren. The Presbyterian Senior Services and West Side Federation for Senior and Supportive Housing GrandParent Family Apartments opened in 2005 and is home to 50 grandfamilies. Cityscape's Andrea McCrary spent some time at the residence.
The PSS WSF GrandParent Family Apartments is a safe haven in a rough environment. The apartments are located in the South Bronx, in a neighborhood where officials say there's a lot of poverty and gang activity. The GrandParent Family Apartment building is welcoming, but guarded. A man at the front desk monitors who goes in and out. It's very clean and the floors are polished. Artwork created by the children is displayed on the walls.
We like to highlight their talents, so we post it all through the building.
That's Michelle Chappell, director of the Kinship Program at Presbyterian Senior Services. She works closely with the residents, including the kids.
You notice we have 2 murals with sayings to try to broaden their horizons. Example, that said, Martin Luther King, he had a dream. What's yours? We try to open their minds. We try to get them to see from point A to point B. Okay, that's the whole concept.
This morning, the kids are off from school for winter recess, and several of them are hanging out in the rec rooms here. The energy is high, and children have free rein to entertain themselves. They are on Facebook, watching TV, playing video games on a PlayStation 3, and 2 young girls are playing a makeshift game of pool.
It's really fun because we get to take turns.
At the same time, in the community room down the hall, a group of grandmothers is playing a low-stakes game of bingo.
Bingo.
To be eligible to live in these apartments, grandparents need to be 62 or older, have eligible low income, and have legal custody of their grandchildren. The reasons grandparents raise their grandchildren run the gamut, but regardless of the reason, they all face similar sets of challenges. Catherine Martinez is Deputy Director of Presbyterian Senior Services.
Besides the financial initially, it's just understanding the whole generation gap. You know, what are the current needs of teens today, the current trends, and how to deal with issues that concern just being a teenager.
Martinez says support is important to grandparents facing these challenges, and she says the programs and support groups provided at the apartments make a difference.
Our services has really allowed our grandparents to be empowered as grandparents and feel that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that this task and challenge that they've accepted, it's okay, and that support has allowed them to maintain and feel that they can do it.
Grandparent Annie Barnes had been taking care of her 2 grandchildren for a while before moving to the grandparent apartments. After raising 2 kids of her own, she says she was doing okay, but is now glad to have the extra help.
It really wasn't a challenge. I did it with my 2, so I had a pretty good idea of what I had to do, where I was going, and what have you, but the only difference is I didn't have the support group here to help me out. But now I had them, so that helped out a lot.
I asked Annie if she ever imagined she would be raising her grandchildren.
No. I had my own plans. I worked like 12, 16 hours per day. And when I retired, I had my plans to travel. So I had to take my retirement money, my Social Security money, and support them for 17 years.
Annie says after her son died, she had little choice but to take her grandkids in.
Well, Shaquilla was born 2.5-pound preemie. Alonzo was born with syphilis, addicted to drugs. Their father got killed right after Alonzo was born, and the mothers wherever doing whatever. So when Shaquilla was born, they was in the system, both of them was, and someone had to step in and take care of them. So if they family, then that's what I had to do.
The GrandParent Family Apartments works to highlight the accomplishments of the kids who grew up here as a way to inspire younger generations. There are pictures of grandchildren who went on to college or achieved other successes, and some of the grandchildren even start to work at the apartments because they find it fulfilling. Tariq Peart, age 21, has lived at the apartments for nearly 6 years. He lives with his grandmother and works part-time at the apartments, helping run an after-school program.
You know, I see the teenagers are a bit more active. You know, they want to keep to themselves. They want to stay to themselves and just play what they want to play, or just hang out and just talk about absolutely nothing. While the kids are all around the place, they just love to do everything. You know, they want to play pool, and then 5 minutes later they want to jump rope, and then 5 minutes later they want to paint something. You know, I love that about children. They just like to do everything.
The apartments offer everything from educational programs to martial arts for the kids. Christopher Brown is the educational coordinator. He talked with me about the programs as he handed out graham crackers to energetic children.
The athletic ones are always the more popular ones, and I think that's because they have a lot of energy, emotional distress, and things like that they need to discharge. So we always get high turnouts for like boxing, wrestling, martial arts, those kinds of things.
But the future of these programs is uncertain. Budget cuts have been a problem for the grandparent apartments for some time. In November, they had to cut their front desk staff in half, and further cuts might be on the way from Albany. Remus Jason, executive director of Presbyterian Senior Services, says he's afraid vital programs may need to go.
And it's literally been a slow death by 1,000 tiny cuts. So any further cuts of whatever size are going to be devastating. And without the funding, there will not be the after-school support, the academic support, the vocational support, the social services in place to make sure that those kids stay successful.
Michelle Chappell, director of the Kinship program at PSS, says she's witnessed many amazing transformations of children at the grandparent apartments, highlighting the story of a young woman named Mariah Burnett who came to the apartments from a rough background.
When she first came, she was a very emotional, angry young lady who, how can I say, always had outbursts. Right now, she's channeled her emotions. She's able to express herself in a more positive way.
Mariah is 16, and she says she's happy living at the apartments with her grandmother and sisters.
It's like a new light. It was like so much different because I used to live in a project, you know, in Harlem, and it's different. I'm in one building, and I could, if I any type of need help or anything, I can go to anyone in the building because we're like a family here.
Mariah keeps a scrapbook that includes pictures of friends and family and poems about her feelings, including this one about her father.
It's called Dad, with a question mark. Dad. Father, I never knew him, never seen the picture of him. Does that bother me? Not much. It barely passes my mind.
Mariah has friends who she realizes aren't as fortunate as she is to have a supportive environment like this. She says even though the neighborhood isn't the best, she's grateful for the shelter of the small community of grandparents, grandchildren, and staff here, and she has high hopes for her future. She hopes to work in law enforcement. I'm Andrea McCrary for WFUV News.